Savage Dragon 71 from January of 2000. The first Savage Dragon comic published in the 21st century. The 90s are done. Got a nice looking cover here with some clues as to what happens this issue. She-Dragon held prisoner, with Dragon making a rescue attempt there. On to the credits. Erik Larsen is writer and artist. Chris Eliopoulos is letterer. And Josh Ekorn is a little bit older and a lot less bolder than he used to be. Of course, you recognize the opening lyrics to Rock and Roll Never Forgets by Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band. Night Moves, 77. I dig it. So Horridus is a few years older, but a lot more bolder than she used to be. Dragon wakes up to find Sarah giving him an unsolicited blowjob in the middle of the night. This guy gets more action in his sleep than some poor bastards do in a lifetime. But this was non-consensual sex, so Dragon is understandably upset. And these two have a pretty lengthy discussion about what just transpired. He chases her out of the room and tells her that that was not appropriate. And it's almost like bestiality because she's not even human, which is pretty hypocritical to say for a green guy with 2 toes and a fin on his head. So she's like, hey, you said you think I'm cute. And there aren't a lot of romantic options for her because of the spiky skin that she's got. So she isn't giving up on the possibility of hooking up with the dragon. Now here is a whole bunch of expository narration. This is one of those issues that would confuse a new reader, but I'll do my best to summarize here. So last issue, we found out that She-Dragon was missing. Now it turns out that she is undercover in this strange area of the Florida coast called Dark World. Dark Land. It gets confusing because if you can remember like 30 issues ago, huge acres of land were getting swapped with pieces of another version of Earth called Dark World. And then Dragon and the SOS, they ended this fucked up terraforming project, but there were casualties as well as refugees because not only was land swapped around, but the people who lived there as well. So some of these people are duplicates of other folks already here on Earth. It's very confusing. So that's just the start of this thing. So anyway, She-Dragon has secretly infiltrated this sanctuary of Dark World, and she's undercover looking for her friends, the Eternal Youths. And before I turn the page, I thought this was some kind of jewel on her head. This is like the square block in the middle of her face there. But apparently that's a printing error. Larsen says that the same thing happened in issue 70. See if I can find that real quick. On the same page, on page 5, yeah, Dragon has like a white dot on his head there. So it shows up again on page 5 here, this purple cube on She-Dragon's face. Made it onto every single comic. Some kind of file issue, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, enough about that. I love a double-page spread. She-Dragon kicking butt. Discarding her disguise to boot this Joker in the face. Then we got another page action here as she flees, but she runs into someone familiar. Meanwhile, Dragon is back at the Chicago headquarters of the Special Operations Strike Force. He's getting a team together for a rescue mission to Darkland, and Star demands to join them. But Dragon is not happy about that because he's worried about casualties. This is a very ominous panel there, so just wait. Now we're kind of going back and forth between these two stories. So She-Dragon runs into Bludgeon here, a familiar face on this full splash page, and he's working for the bad guys. They've kidnapped the Eternal Youths, and it looks like some more familiar faces down here. We got Rackham, as well as another Amy Belcher. So now there are 2 She-Dragons, and this one is working for the bad guys, but not just any bad guy. We're about to find out who is stepping through that portal there. Now our 2 stories are converging as Dragon and his team arrive at Darkland. We got Zeke, Hercules, Star, Super Tough, a few others. And they're arriving the same time as a fully grown Dark Lord here. I thought this guy was dead. What the hell, man? Well, Larsen was ahead of the curve again, and he's using these multiverse gimmicks here at the turn of the century. a couple of decades before the MCU and DC and everything everywhere all at once just kind of wore that concept into the ground. But in this alternate reality version of Dark Lord, he does this page-long monologue about how he wants to rule the world and resistance is futile. And he's a time traveler, so he's had this battle before. Thank God the SOS bust in, shutting this dude up. But not before he vaporizes one of the heroes. The speedster, Race, gets obliterated. R.I.P. More bad guys come down here. The demon dogs come spilling in by the dozens. Dark Lord and Dragon are going at it. Zeke and Bludgeon are having a heavyweight battle as well, which sends this huge boulder smashing on top of Star. Dragon gets knocked silly, and then Dark Lord vaporizes another hero. His arch enemy, Super Tough, gets put down way too easy there. Just instantly incinerated, turned into a charred skeleton. And it also turns out that rock that crushed Star killed him. And Chris Robinson is dead, revealed under his mask. His identity was unknown to many of the heroes, including She-Dragon, as well as his brother, Bludgeon. So yeah, Bludgeon is Chris's brother, and he didn't know he was Star, so he just had a hand in his death. Very sad, very complicated. A hell of a lot going on. The bad guys flee. The Eternal Youths are saved, but at what a cost. 3 lives lost. And then down here we got the alternate version of She-Dragon, Amy Belcher's down there. She's escaping this melee. Pretty nutty issue. And we're building to issue 75, so a lot of moving pieces, wrapping up dangling plot threads, setting up a lot of changes for the book. On to the letters page. Larson notes the passing of legendary comic creator Gil Kane. Talks about how influential he was, calls him a true pioneer. Gil Kane and Larson had planned like a Mighty Man project together that fell through, but there's some pages he's going to show off next month. Got about 5 pages of letters, mostly reaction to issue 69. I like this one reply from Larson talking about the early days of Image and the idea of a shared universe. And Larson got busy populating this universe with oddball villains and heroes, thinking that all of his compatriots would do the same thing with Spawn and Shadowhawk and Youngblood and Wildcats. But it seems like he was the only one kind of fulfilling that concept. So let's see, there's some other interesting stuff back here. We got an ad for the next issue with Cesspool. And they got this sticker on here, the illusion of change. That's an old concept from Marvel Comics about like how their characters can go through decades of stories without any real fundamental changes. The character always remains foundationally the same. And that's certainly not what happens in Savage Dragon. Over here, we got a sketch for the cover of this issue that didn't work out. I'm not sure how well that shows up, but it's like a pencil sketch, a penciled layout of the potential cover. But they decided to scrap it, maybe for the best. Got a nice pinup here with Carl Moline and Chris Gardner, followed up with Dragonbert, as well as Megaton Man. I think this is wrapping up in a couple issues. We got Desperate Times by Chris Eliopoulos. There's a new haircut for one of our characters here, as well as a new layout for the strips. I think Eliopoulos had submitted some of these strips to the syndicates, potentially wanting to run them in newspapers, and these layouts would work pretty well in that kind of format. But never happened, though, unfortunately. All right, so that is it for this issue. We got an ad for Shock Rockets, Guerrilla Comics imprint. It's a 6-issue series by Kurt Busiek and Stuart Immonen. I never read that one. But I did read Savage Dragon 72. Next time, adios.